What is up, my ninjas? I'm Strydent, and I'm here today with a review of the Mafex BvS Wonder Woman. Now, this is a controversial figure because people have given this figure all kinds of shit for its sculpt and for details and paint defects and physical defects with the joints and such. And today I'm going to set the record straight for those of you who are still not convinced that this is a worthwhile figure. You can already see that some of the things they said are not true on my copy of the figure. So maybe it's a manufacturing thing. Either way, I'm going to give you guys the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between, but I want to let these pictures speak for themselves first. So enjoy the slideshow, and then we're going to get on with it. Alright, let's talk about this sculpt and the paint. This figure is on point. She looks exactly like what she looked like in the film. They didn't really skimp on anything. You've got nice pearlescent metallic paints all over the place. The muted colors are a little bit above the muted variety that they were in the film. The straps, everything has the little leathery feel to it. And it's weird because, you know, people were real hard on this figure. And considering what Mattel gave us, I don't know what it is they're comparing it to. This figure, in every conceivable area, is light years beyond that. People were talking about the likeness. Now, the paint, it's not bad paint. It's just a little bit different from maybe what you would expect. So in some ways, it's a little bit softer. And that's what Figuarts does. But it looks like Gal. I mean, I don't know what you guys have been comparing her to. I really don't. People had said that, you know, the sculpt and the way the joints work aren't really that great or something. And I'm going to talk about that later on. But I think sculpt-wise, articulation-wise, it's on point. It looks like the character as seen in Batman v Superman. I don't know. I think people nitpick the fuck out of them. And, more so than that, I feel like the wrong people reviewed the figure early. Everybody jumped on the bandwagon because those were prominent YouTubers or prominent collector, reviewers, showcasers, whatever. And everyone is not paying attention to the details because a few people have, dissed this figure by association to the other two more poorly done Mafex figures. Now, I don't know so much about all of them being poor. I mean, they're not accurate, I guess is what I should say. But what I'm looking at here works. I don't have any issues with what I'm seeing. The golds look good. The reds look good. The the paint seems clean. I mean, it's not as clean as Figuarts. Make no mistake. You have a lot of spots where the paint goes over the area that should be whatever color. But, I mean, I like it. The boots look awesome. I mean, down to the fact that the armor is just sitting up on top of her bare legs, and her bare feet. It looks good. I love the segmented shoe portions. That looks good. And they even made the heels look good. And I hate when female figures have heels and they're supposed to be warriors. I'm like, that's not realistic, but it works here. The little band from the New 52 design, that works too. It's well painted. There's no overspray going into the flesh. And the face sculpt, once again, that's Gal Gadot. I don't know what you guys are not seeing. It's not even as soft of a sculpt as what we typically get with the newer Figuarts, like with the Bruce Lee figure and the Freddie Mercury and stuff. It's like pretty much her, It's a very neutral expression, She doesn't look super happy. She doesn't look super sad. She doesn't look super, pissed off. But it looks like a determined Gal Gadot. The shoulder joints allow for cross arm poses like this. And I honestly, with the type of sculpt they went for, this works. I don't have any issues. It's the same sculpt or the same kind of joint that you get with figure arts where the twist happens up at the shoulder instead of at the bicep, because in reality, no one twists at the bicep. This is what's called an anatomically correct shoulder swivel. It's kind of hand in hand with the anatomically correct thigh swivel. But so many collectors are so hell-bent on the way that it's been done for years with other figures that they're ignoring the fact that a lot of the import figures go for the more humanoid approach. So things move the way that they do in real life because it's anatomically correct. So instead of having cuts in random places just to give you semblance of that kind of movement, you have the movement, the ability to move, the range of motion in the area that would really move. And I think it works really well. I mean, this is a movie figure. It's based on a real person. Why give her, like, you know, unreal articulation? And I mean, even prominent YouTube reviewers have made issues and complaints about articulation and, you know, the joints, I should say, because I'll get to articulation in detail. And I don't see the problem here. I mean, maybe a lot of people are new to collecting imports. You know me, I've been collecting imports for a long time. More than half the time I've been on YouTube. So this is par for the course. Now, you know, if Akiba Red loves her, then she's got to be good. So I think people need to pay attention to what's actually going on with this figure. Look at all the detail, look at all the paint, look at the articulation and the sculpt, and just pay attention. Don't base your opinion off of what you've heard other people say. And that's a sickness that goes around on YouTube and the internet in general. Look at the figure for yourself. That face is Gal Gadot. Granted, in the film, you see her talk more. Her mouth is open more. Her, you know, she squints a little bit more and she frowns a little bit more. And the camera looks at her from above all the time, which for some reason I didn't do a bunch of those kind of pictures. But like that right there, that's Gal. Maybe some people's sculpts were crappy, but nah, this figure is on point. At least mine is. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's a paint issue, it's inconsistent paint for some folks, or if it's the sculpt is just the type of sculpt that the manufacturing process gives you either a more accurate or a less accurate version of the original, you know, sculpt. In my case, this is on point. So I think she gets a lot of hate it's not necessary. And even if the face wasn't accurate, which I'm about to get to another one that people are dick riding, that it doesn't have an accurate face sculpt. Just like the Play Arts Kai does not have an accurate face sculpt, but people said it was better than this. And I'm just like, what? It's got ugly joints all over the place. But anyway, even if her face wasn't accurate, you get the visage of the character as she appeared in the film. And that's the point. That's what movie figures are all about. We all know Marvel Legends don't typically get it perfect. But anyway, check this out. Now, call me crazy, but I think even though this looks pretty good, I don't think it looks as good as the Mafex. She looks way too skinny, and the likeness is just not there. But, you know, who knows? Maybe it'll undergo some changes and it will get there. But, you know, seeing this one in hand and comparing it to that, I'm going with this one. I think they did the damn thing as well as could be expected from, you know, Mafex. I mean, it's plain and simple. You know, it's accurate. The colors, more so than anything, the colors are on point. The sculpting is on point. It's not Hot Toys quality, and even Hot Toys is a little bit off, but it's on point. The eye color is right, the lip color is right, the hair color is right, the tiara color is right, all the armor, the greaves in general, it's all right. Everything looks like what we saw, so I can't complain about, you know, what's wrong with it. There are a couple spots that are problematic. I mean, they even went, and this is not the problematic part. I'll get to that in the issues and nitpicks, but look at her lip. She's got gloss on the lip. I'm like, that's Gal. I don't know what you guys, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't see what you see, or I don't see what you're not seeing. That looks like who it's supposed to look like. The, as for everything else, I've already said it like 5 times over. It's accurate. It's on point. It's on point. I'm happy with this. I was afraid that by the time this is why I waited so long. I was afraid that by the time I got to this figure, I was going to get a crappy copy. I was afraid that from all the reviews that I'd seen and I heard all this stuff, I was like, is that true? Could it really be true? Because in the videos, I wasn't seeing it. Maybe one video. Someone had one with a really bad paint job. And I was like, damn, that sucks. But as far as I'm seeing with my copy right here, this sculpt and paint on this figure is on point. Okay, so articulation. We're doing this a little bit different from usual because my battery kept dying. I need to get a replacement battery for my thing, so I use my phone. But anyway, head swivels left and right with no problem. The hair is just a little bit in the way. She can look up and down just a little bit. The upper diaphragm allows for more use in conjunction, so you can get her to look down or up more. Swivel at the shoulder, like I told you. She bends more than 90 degrees at the elbow. She's got swivel at the wrist and the bend, and it's the one where, it swivels at the top, under the hand and under the actual wrist so that you can get, whatever kind of swivel you need. She's got nice ball jointed torso. Like I said, she can look down more if you use just the upper torso in conjunction with her head. But if you use all of it, you get a lot of range of motion. So flying poses, flipping, even when she kicks, you can bend her enough to get her to kick higher or lower. Her foot moves up about that much before you pull down the joint, then you can get it to go up that much. So she can do front kicks, she can do high kicks, jump, front kicks. She can do it all. When she flips, her legs will look right, She bends more than 90 degrees. There is the anatomically correct thigh swivel, as I told you about earlier. Then there is the upward motion, the pivot, and the point on her foot, which is nice. And it's very similar to the hand. So she doesn't have it's not limited, but you can swivel it on the joint that connects to the foot as well as the joint where the joint connects into the ankle. And if you twist it the right way, you can get certain things going on. Now with the shoulders, she's got her waist swivels too, and so does her diaphragm joint. And that's good for the high kick. She can do the splits. There's no problem there. She can kick very high. Especially if you pull down both joints, then she can go down, pretty far into the splits. Her skirt kind of sits in a way that allows for her legs to keep going outward. Those cuts right up in the front of her thigh are what's there. But look at the shoulder. This is the point of contention a lot of people complain about, but it works. A lot of people posed her where the joint was down and it looked ugly. But if you pose her the right way and utilize that joint, it doesn't look bad, And there's a lot of Japanese figures that do this. So in my opinion, especially when she's blocking stuff, she looks cool, man. I don't know. Yeah, you guys are way too hard on this. So anyway, she's got really good articulation, as she should for an import figure. Accessories. She doesn't really have that many accessories because in the film she didn't really use anything other than her sword, shield, and the lasso. There is a third piece. Well, there's an extra piece that you're not seeing because it's on her person, and that's the lasso all rolled up. But you've got the lasso extended so you could loop one end around something and have her holding on to the other end and pulling them. You got a sword, you've got the shield, and then you've got a bunch of hands. 2 holding things hands, splayed open hands, and fist hands. And then you have the smaller holding things hands. So the holding things hands, the big ones, or the wider grip ones, are for the lasso when it's rolled up or whatever. And then the smaller ones are for the shield and the sword. Everything's good. Now you see there's paint on the hands, fingers of one of the holding things hands. That rubbed off from the shield. The paint, the way you have to force it in there, it rubs off. And, it's kind of expected when you have that. And then you have the wonderful Mafex stand. I love these stands. They're my favorite stands next to the ones that the DC Films figures come with. I love them more than the Tomashi, what do they call them? Stage act stands or whatever. Then, of course, you got the figure. The figure, like I said, I don't see where all the hate is coming from. I see a beautiful figure. If you don't appreciate figures, I guess maybe that's where it comes from. But everything is the proper scale. The shield is the proper scale. It's not too big. It's not too small. And oftentimes you see a lot of shields that don't look right. So, you know, the sword too. The sword is the right length. It's not like huge like the Mattel version, and it's not too small. I love the detailing on the shield. The shield is really well detailed. I'm glad they did things the way that they did things here. Everything from the film is there. Makes you wonder why other people couldn't get it right. And now for the lasso. The open lasso. It's pretty dope. And like I said, you're also seeing the bigger hands opened out to hold on to all that, you know, lasso wrapped up. Looks good. Looks real good. The splayed open hands. I put them on her hips because it's a very simple position, and also you see the closed up lasso hanging on her side. It looks really good. I don't have any issues with it. So all in all, you know, her accessories are perfect for what she is supposed to be, who she is, and what you saw in the film. Nothing's lacking. The paint on everything looks good. It looks accurate. Yeah, there's not much to complain about. So props to them for all of this. All right, let's compare. Now you see her with two other versions of characters from Batman v Superman. You got Mattel Batman, you got DC Collectible Superman. They don't look bad together. You know, granted, the Mattel Batman is not the greatest figure at all by any means, but my custom cape helps a lot, and I think they look right together. Soon I will have the Mafex Batman. Maybe that'll help. But she looks good. She looks good with them. Standing next to the Henry Cavill, you know, DC Films Superman, she looks really good. So I think that they've done the damn thing with this figure. It's nice to see the league coming together in film form. You know me. Since day one, I've been a fan of movie costumes, movie designs, movie versions, and typically that's what I collect. You know, I have a shit ton of movie figures, you know. There's some I'm still working on getting, but, you know, this is what appeals to me because I love to see the translation. Unlike many others, I don't think they always fail when they, you know, update the costumes to make them work in real life. Now, here she is compared to other Wonder Womans I have. I don't have that many. I actually have one more, and that's the Total Justice or the Justice League 5-inch Wonder Woman. But she looks good. It's crazy seeing all the comic book details translated in a real human being. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. I mean, granted, she's not as busty as some of the hardcore, straight-up comic book ones. She's more in line with the DCUC one. But even the comic book ones are kind of modest in, you know, her proportions. I mean, in the comics, they draw her popping out of that armor. And it's like, my God, how does she do it? And I get it. She's a literal Amazon. Here, things are a little bit, you know, kind of shortened. You know, she's smaller, and, you know, she's fit. She's very fit. She's not super muscular like my favorite, which is the Ed McGuinness one. I love the musculature on that figure. You know, she's still very feminine, you know, hourglass shape and everything. But look at those thighs, man, and her biceps are full. They don't look like man arms, but they're full. I mean, her face is super cartoony, but, you know, everything else is on point. And I love that they got rid of the stars. I've always hated the stars. I'm like, come on, I get it. You know, gold, red, and blue, I get it. You don't have to go overboard to the point where you got stars and stripes somewhere or something. But I love it. She looks really good. It's like continuing all the little, you know, details and maintaining the integrity of the original fucking design. It's that thing I always talk about when I bring up character design in comics and video games and such. A lot of designers just miss the point. And here, they did a good job. So say what you will about Zack Snyder and his team, but their design work, it translated really well. And I'm happy with the look of everybody, you know? So props to them for this. All right, let's talk about this shoulder joint. The shoulder joint is a double ball peg system. So you've got the one ball joint for the shoulder, then you got a ball joint well, a ball peg for the shoulder connecting to the actual arm. Now, this is more like what it really works, how it really works in real life. The difference is it's not exposed. So when you pose the figure like this, of course it's going to be a big ass gap and it's going to look like shit. But if you make her doing something or you put the shoulder in the right place, then it doesn't look bad. So all those people who posted images of this figure with the shoulders all slumped down, you weren't doing it right. You were going out of your way to make it look like shit. Look at the color of the shoulders. It's even exposed here, but it's up where the shoulders should be sitting in a relaxed position, and it does not look bad. Throughout this whole review, I've been having her in different poses, and never once was the shoulder completely out of place. Now, the other thing about this shoulder is that it's not 1000% unique to this figure, and that's what pisses me off about the other showcases that we're trying to parade around as reviews. Figma does the same thing, and no one criticized the Figma joint in the shoulder because it works. You know, as long as the colors, and the colors aren't even exact here, as long as it works and the colors are close, there's nothing to complain about. Granted, this one, the ball peg doesn't really move around as much, but remember the Figuarts one? They got shit for this, but it works. It was like 50-50. Some people complained, some people liked it. But look, same type of joint. They just put an extra floating piece to cover it when you move it around. This doesn't even have like a shoulder-shaped piece on it, you know? This shoulder, this is kind of ugly, but it works with the sculpt. And less people complained about this than they complained about, you know, Wonder Woman. Figuarts, like I said, they do it in different ways. Armored characters get it. Here, this looks perfect, right? And that's the point. You know, they found a way to kind of hide it because the character is armored. Oh, but then let's move the armor out of the way, just if in case we want to move him around. And you got exactly the same shit. Remember Iron Man, the modular Iron Man from back in the day? Come on now. Toy Biz did this shit. Toy Biz actually did this often. Look at the distance of the shoulder arm from the body at the shoulder. And then you move the armor out of the way and it's like, what the fuck? Whose arm fits in that? And then my favorite line of all time, the Soda Street Fighter. They did the same thing, except it looks more like a traditional ball joint. It is literally a ball and a peg going in both parts, you know? Now let's talk about the paint defect. I have one paint flaw on mine, and that's overspray right at her breast. I don't know how that got there, but it's easy to fix. You could either use an eraser and erase it off, or you could use a cotton swab and or a Q-tip and just use nail polish remover or something and just wipe it off. One swipe, whoop, and it'd be gone. So yeah, it's not perfect, but she's damn good, you know? So give props where it's due. And now for the bottom line. I love this part because I get to tell you straight up, you know, just don't believe the hype. Don't acknowledge, don't listen to all this one-sided bullshit. You know, if it was a Marvel Legend, they'd be like making excuses for this figure all over the place. And a lot of Marvel Legends are just subpar figures. Nice body, like the body sculpt is awesome for a lot of them, but the figure itself, it's just nothing there, you know? Like, Cyclops just came out, and it was a great figure because we waited forever to get him, but he's kind of subpar in a lot of areas because, you know, it is a Marvel Legend, and they're just cheap about their approach. But, you know, even with that, you can still appreciate the figure. The same goes here, except they went above and beyond what you get with a Marvel Legend. And this figure goes for prices that are comparable to some of the legends that are out there. You know, this is a $35 to $40 figure if you're smart. Don't be stupid and pay $80 for it just because that's the price that someone asked for it. Just look at the majority of prices on eBay and on Amazon and etc. She goes for about $35 to $40. They dropped drastically after the movie kind of had that, you know, split, you know, divisive kind of reception. But overall, this figure is pretty dope. She doesn't have a lot of the fragility issues that you were hearing with the Superman figure, and some people said the Batman figure had it too. I was playing around with her right out the package, you know, making her spin around and cut things and block the way that the guys in 300 were fighting, you know. I didn't have any problems. Nothing broke. The sword is a little flimsy, but typically import weapons are, so there's not much to worry about there. Her face, she looks beautiful. I don't have any issues with her. The shield is kind of a pain, but once you get it on, it's awesome. And just leave that hand on the shield, and then just put the wrist through it, and get the peg into the hand, and you're all good. But she's easy to pose. She's light. Now her joints are not ratcheted, so they do kind of sometimes flop around. But, that's a small price to play. I mean, don't tell me you'd never had any other figures that did the same thing. So, in my opinion, this figure is a win. It's surprising with the overwhelmingly negative response that I saw to this figure. She doesn't deserve the hate at all. I mean, you're looking at these pictures, and I'm not doing anything special with her that I don't do with anything else. She's a great figure. They're about to re-release her with lighter colors and different sword. I think she's gonna have the Godslayer sword for the movie that's about to drop. So that's gonna be cool. So if you missed out on this one, or you don't like the color scheme, then you can get the new one. I think she also comes with a different head sculpt, like a gritting teeth head sculpt or something. So, if you like what you see here, but you want a variation of the colors because it was too dark in BvS, then go get that one. But as far as this one goes, this is a dope figure, The only things I would even remotely think of changing would be adding ratchets to maybe her thighs, or maybe to her shoulders or something, or just tightening up those joints. And we all know different ways to tighten up joints, so that's not a difficult thing to do. So all in all, this BvS Wonder Woman is a win. I didn't have issues with this figure anywhere near. I didn't have any issues that were enough for me to give this a low score. And that's just me being real. And I'd call it how I see it. I posed her around, I was playing with her. I put her alongside other figures, and I had no problem with her, I had less problems with her than I did with some of the, more popular figures. She's good. She's real good. So if you see her for the prices, I mean, some people on eBay are selling her for less than 40 bucks, for like less than 35. So if you can find her for cheap, get her, because right now that's what she's going for, cheap prices, because people are shitting on this line. But that's been my look at the Mafex BvS Wonder Woman. She's a great figure, great paint, great articulation, great accessories, great sculpt. Pick her up if you see her. That's it for me. Peace outside. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed what you saw, please give it a like, a share, let your friends know. Check me out on social media. All the links are in the description. And if you really want to help me out big time, jump on Patreon and support the channel. Every little bit helps, the smallest amount to the largest amount. And last but not least, check out my comic, War of the Gods. Issue 2 is on sale now on Indie Planet. And the links are in the description. It's some superhero fun. And as a smaller independent book, it needs all the views, all the eyes on it as possible. So check it out, show it to your friends. Every view helps greatly. And yeah, that's it for me. Thanks again.